Like, so here's Atlanta, right? When I first started in 2010, I lived in a little town called Peachtree City. And like, I had no idea what I was doing, right? I was just like, I'm gonna rehab some homes, right? And so then I just was like, the only area I knew, because I had only been living in Georgia for a couple of years, so I didn't really know anything about anything at all. And so I was just like, okay, I'll stay within this area. So in this area, this is the Peachtree City area. I started looking out, and I started getting a couple deals or whatever. And then I moved over here to Noonan. It's like not very far. This is Noonan. All right, and I was like, yeah, I'm getting some deals. And I was over here, and I was like in Fayetteville. And then I was like down here, and I was in like this town called Gay. And then I was over here, like in a town called Griffin. And pretty soon, all my houses, it was taking me like to drive to every one of my houses. Even though I was just in the South Atlanta area, it was taking me forever. It would take me like to get from here to here is like with traffic, like 45 minutes. And to here is another like 4. It was like ridiculous amount of time, right? And I was driving around, and I had like at one point I had like 13 rehabs, and I was like running around like a crazy person. And I went to a training to one of my coaches' trainings, like a 2-day, like a 3-day event or whatever. And I was talking to him. I was like, I feel like I'm running around with like my chicken, like my head cut off like a chicken. I was like, I don't know what the heck I'm doing anymore. Like I'm just running around all the time. And he was like, Stacy, he's like, you have to get good at one thing. What's the one thing that you're good at? Right? He's like, if you want to master this, you can't be all over the place. Because like this house here, I'd be doing like a $50,000 rehab, and over here it'd be like 75, and this one would be like 60,000, and this was like 100,000, and this over here was like it was like ridiculous amount of rehabs. It'd be anywhere from like 20,000 to 100,000, and it was just all over the place. All over the place. And my coach basically sat me down, and he was like, you can't do it all. And even just in, I thought, well, I'm rehabbing. I'm just rehabbing. You know what I'm saying? And he's like, you can't, even in rehabbing, you pick one thing that you're good at and you focus on that and you get good at that. Right. And I started like, when he told me that, a light bulb went off, and I was just like, oh my gosh, you're so right. So what I did is I figured out which house was the easiest house for me to do. And the $100,000 rehabs and like anything over like 75,000, it just took me forever, and I was not good at it at all. I did like 2 major rehabs, and that's it. Like I was out. I did 1 new construction and 2 like huge big rehabs, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. It's just not my thing. I was actually really good at doing like a 45 to $55,000 rehab. That's what it was. And so I started looking for houses that were 45 to $50,000, because that's just, I knew that I could be in and out in 90 days in those houses, like just easy peasy like this. I just out of all the rehabs I had done over the past couple of years, I just knew that was the one that I knew was a good one, right? So then, like in the Atlanta, this is Atlanta area. And then there was an area in Atlanta that was called Decatur. And it was like when I said I was doing rehabs in Decatur, this is back in the day, people were like, Decatur, oh my God, you're gonna get shot over there, like be careful. Like nobody would go into Decatur. And I went into Decatur, and I drove around, and I was like, this is so bad. Come on. And my philosophy in life is everybody's gotta live somewhere. Right. And especially I focus on affordable housing. That's what I focus on. And so I started buying houses in Decatur. And what I did is, back when I first started, I was buying houses for 35,000. And then I would put 50,000 into them, and I'd be all in at 85,000, and I would sell them for 120,000. That's basically what I did. And my rehab was always right around $50,000. And that was my house. That was my house. That was I first started back in like 2013, 2014. And like people were just like, why are you? And then I started like, I was the only one in that area. And the first house that I did, I crossed my fingers and hoped to die and stick a needle in my eye. And I was like, is this thing going to appraise? And it was like the most, I mean, the most beautiful house ever. And I was like, this thing has got to appraise for 120,000. I got it under contract for 120 grand, but it wasn't going to appraise. And I was the first person in all, like almost all of Decatur to be doing rehabs. And so it appraised, like we put it under contract and appraised and sold. And after that, I had a comp, right? And I started to like, so here's the Decatur area. And in the Decatur area, it's just like, I mean, this is what it looks like. If you go in Decatur, it's just like this. It's like the most planned perfect, like you just go right, left, and there's all these streets. And let's just say my house was like right here, right? I started just door knocking and farming that area, letters. I literally had somebody map this area out. I've had a VA. I said, map every single house in this area, and I want to mail a letter to all of these people in this area. And this was like a whole huge subdivision area. It had like maybe 1,000 houses or something like this. And then I just like mailed out these letters to this area. And guess what? I got like 4 or 5 people that wanted to sell their house. And they were like, one was here and one was over here and one was over here and one was over here. And it was all within like a quarter mile to a half mile radius. It was in my comps. This area is not a big area. You know what I'm saying? And literally my houses, after I got them under contract, they were all under contract for 35 to 40 grand. And all these houses were all exactly same. 4 sides, red brick, 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom houses. They're all exactly the same because that's just how it is here, right? And so my system, the way that I ran my business was like this for several years. I bought them for 35,000, put 50,000 and sold them to 120. And then all of a sudden everybody started realizing what I was doing. Right. And then they started like the prices started going up. Right. So then I had to start buying, I went up to 50K and I put them under contract for 50K. I did a rehab for 50K and then I sold them for 150K. Every single one of these houses I did, I had 100 houses in 4 years. I made anywhere from 20 to 25 grand on. That's it. And, I made 100, I sold out for 150. And that was for like the next couple of years. And then they went up to, and then they started, and this is like, and then I started kind of going out, like Decatur's like a huge big area, if you know what Decatur. So I started going out to little areas over here and all this kind of stuff, started spreading my wings a little bit. Because by that time, I literally in a couple of years, I was the one that like sold the most houses because I ended up having like an in-house realtor. And in one house, she did like 48 sales or something like this. And it was all like within the same area. So, okay, so 50, 50, 150, right? And then it went up to, and then it was 65K plus a 50,000 rehab. Because I mean, it's the same house. The rehab's not changing right now. You know what I'm saying? The rehab is exactly the same. So I didn't have to go up that much on the rehab. And then it would be like, I would sell these for 165. And then by this time, Decatur was like popping. Like everybody's like, I'm moving into Decatur, and everybody, all the investors were there. Everybody was in there, and I was out. I was like, that's it. I'm not doing it anymore. My limit to buy a house is $65,000. That's it. Where can I find $65,000 to find a house? Guess what I did? I started looking to where I could find houses for $65,000 and do the same exact system because that's my system. I was completely cookie cutter. I did nothing but this over and over and over again for 4 years until I got pregnant. And then I stopped. And so, this is how I did 100 houses. I was like, how in the hell do you do 15 rehabs at the same time? My rehab was exactly the same every single house. My scope of work, it took me 5 minutes to write. Nothing changed. We got so good at this area, farming this area. I knew this area like the back of my hand. You told me a street, I was doing blind offers. You told me a street, I knew how much it would be, and I just put an offer in. I was doing 20 offers a day towards the end. Because I farmed the area and I knew it so well that was my area. And this was in the city, right? Because this is when everybody was moving to the city. Everybody wanted to be in the city, right? And everybody wants to get the hell out of the city, right? So the question is, can you do this in smaller areas, tertiary markets? And the answer is yes, because guess what? Valdosta, you can still buy houses in Valdosta for anywhere from $20,000 to $50,000. Because I went to Valdosta and was looking. I was like, I stayed in an Airbnb and I looked up the information. And I was like, how much did they buy this for? They bought the house for $19,000. So there's areas that you can do this in. There's definitely areas that you can be in. It's called tertiary market. And there is so much opportunity in tertiary market that I think you guys should just be open to looking at that. Wholesaling in that land, in that area, rehabbing in those areas, because that's going to be the affordable housing areas of the next couple of years.